Good morning, everybody. The name's Completator, and a couple of videos ago, I did something called Vintage Redstone, where I showed you guys this thing right over here. This was just, a simple slot machine that everybody did back in the day, in, like the 2010, 2011 days before pistons and all of that fancy stuff. But, you know, there's been quite a while between early 2011 and now mid 2020. So there must have been some other iterations of that slot machine, of this very same slot machine. And as you can see on the right, I'm going to show you guys something that I made in late 2011 or early 2012. I went digging through my old worlds and I found this. So this right here is semi-vintage redstone. Yeah, this was right after pistons got introduced in Minecraft 1.7, beta 1.7, but still before the Minecraft 1.5 redstone overhaul, when, hoppers, droppers, comparators, redstone blocks, all that stuff got added. So yeah, here it is, the semi-vintage slot machine. This whole thing runs on a randomization that comes from minecarts running around. And this bedrock is, it's a difficulty setting, but I'll show you guys what it's like on easy mode first, and then I'll show you guys what it's like on hard mode. Ah, yes. Good old-fashioned command block terminals. Gotta love them. Alrighty, so let's get this started, okay? All of these are off, okay? I can get in there and turn them all on again. And you can see that if you get all of them right, then the diamond blocks come flying out of the dispensers up there. Now, let me just go back to the redstone over here and press the reset button. So, after that, that was easy mode. Let me get away from this sound. So as you can see, the game is still going. All the minecarts are still going around, all the pistons are still pushing, and the game's on easy mode. So let's just stop that by flicking the lever off. And there we go. All the minecarts will return to their respective positions. So let's say we want this on hard mode, okay? Let's say we want to up the reward. I hate that. Yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, let's say we want to increase the difficulty and increase the reward, and maybe increase the price too. We do this. We put a block right here. And basically what that does is it makes something called a burnout clock between this redstone, and this redstone, I think. I think that's what's going on, but I'm not quite sure. So, now that we're on hard mode, let's flick the lever again. You see that all the minecarts start going around? And these pistons all start pulsing twice, so it gets a lot harder, but the same rules apply. So, let me just turn this game off and walk you guys through the anatomy of this whole thing. When did they start calling this stuff redstone dust? I'm sorry? Redstone dust. It's not just... What? No. No. Okay, guys, we need to have a chat. Okay? This stuff right here, this is redstone. It is not redstone dust. It is not redstone wire. It is redstone. I cannot stress enough how much this is not redstone dust. Anyway, let's keep going. So this right here is one of the modules in its entirety, just in isolation of all of those, connecting units and stuff. This is basically what each module of that game would look like. So I'll just walk you guys through this, okay? So this blue circuit over here, the one with the minecart and the minecart track on it, this is the core of this whole slot machine thing. Basically what it does is the minecart moves around like so. And as it does, it hits one of two detector rails. And when it does that, each detector rail triggers a monostable circuit, which triggers a, I think it's called, either a 1-tick pulse or a 0-tick pulse. I'm pretty sure it's a 1-tick pulse. It feeds a 1-tick pulse into this piston, and this piston, this monostable over here, feeds a 1-tick pulse into this piston. And this right here is just a T flip-flop. So, the block just goes back and forth and back and forth. It's pretty complicated when I put it like that, but let me just show you sort of how simple this really is. Okay, I'm just going to build it for you on camera just so you can see just how simple this whole thing is. You see that? This is the whole deal. This is the entirety of what I made up there, except instead of repeaters, I put minecart tracks, and I made a redstone signal feeding into this block when it's in one of these two states. Now, why did I do that? That's pretty simple. That's because, let me just show you on the minecarts, okay? So, let's say you have a minecart hitting this detector rail over here. When you do that, it triggers this monostable circuit, which pushes this piston, pushes this block out. And now, you have this redstone turning on, this torch turning off, and this torch turning on. Now that means that if I hit the button, that means that if I hit this button over here, and I basically place my bet, when I turn this torch off, this torch will still be on, so the AND gate doesn't get powered. And so this torch doesn't turn on, and I don't win. I lose. Now, when the cart is in this position, what you get is, again, powering this piece of redstone, triggering this monostable circuit, feeding into this T flip-flop. Block goes over here, which means you've met your win condition over there. So, no redstone, torch goes on, redstone goes on, torch goes off, and then if I place my bet now, see, that torch will get triggered for a little bit. That torch will turn on for a little bit, and that'll trigger the monostable, which then triggers a T flip-flop, which means this repeater turns on, which means you win that module. It's pretty simple, right? And also, just to mention that this purple thing over here, this is a way of feeding a redstone signal into this block and into this repeater. I could have done this, and it would have been much simpler, but I wanted to make it a little bit more compact, and so I did. And really, that's all there is to it. So now let's just go over to the black and white circuits over there, and I'll just show you how they work. Okay, so let's just look at the black circuit for now. And what the black circuit does is it turns the game on and off, which means that it makes it playable. It makes it playable when the lever's down. So lever down, the minecarts start going, the pistons push, you can start the game. So why do I have to push the pistons down over here and over here to get the whole game started? Well, remember over here when the cart stopped on this track and I had to place a block down over here to get it started? That's because this torch would power this block, which then powers the powered rail. Otherwise, if the block's not there, then the powered rail doesn't get powered and the cart stops. And that's the whole principle behind this line over here. So I flick the lever over here, and the redstone signal travels all the way over here, and then the pistons push down, hitting these torches, which means that the carts can move. As for the delays, I don't really need to put this much delay, but I do because it makes the game harder, because, well, if they all started at the same time, then what you could do is you could have 3 people over here, counting down like 3, 2, 1, and then they'd push the button. Then they'd each push their respective button, and you would win. You would win a lot more of the time. However, as long as people don't know this timing sequence, well, they don't know when the minecart is in the win condition, and so it gets a lot harder. It becomes more of a gamble, I would say. As for this line over here, what happens is when I flick this lever, the redstone signal gets carried through this whole line and powers each of these different sticky pistons. Now, they each push blocks, and each of these blocks allows a redstone repeater over here to carry a signal through that block onto the redstone, which means that you can place your bet. If you don't have this, if you don't have this block over here, then if I push the button over here, actually, let me just do that right now. Let me get a lever, actually. If I put a lever over here, you can see that even if the repeater over here gets powered, it doesn't get the power of the redstone over here, because there's no block, Okay, so now that we've over-explained the absolute hell out of 2 lines of redstone feeding into 6 sticky pistons, let's overcomplicate the hell out of 1 line of redstone feeding into no pistons. So what does this line do? This white button over here is the reset button. So you'll notice if I just press the buttons over here, and say I win, let me just try that for a while. It's not working. Let's just go back into easy mode real quick. Okay, so now that we're back on easy mode, it'll be, well, easier for me to demonstrate what happens. So let's just say I win, okay? Okay, there we go. Let's say I win this round. So, what that does, since I won, this T flip-flop gets triggered, and this sticky piston spits out the block. Now, I can't play the game again unless that block is back in its position. And I don't want to be bothered pressing the button again and again and again just in hopes that the T flip-flop will hit again. You know, that would be too much of a pain. Like, look. Okay, that kind of contradicted me a little bit, but imagine if it was in hard mode, okay? I would have to push this button again and again and again until finally the torch went back up. So instead, I added this button over here and that white circuit. So let's just win again. Win. Win. Okay, and win. Good. Yay. Okay. Yay. Okay, so we've won now. What happens is all of these blocks are in this position over here. So rather than pushing all of these buttons again, I had the idea way back in the day of just adding a button over here that would feed into a wire of redstone that would each trigger its own monostable circuit. So it would trigger a monostable circuit over here. Just does the same thing that this torch does in the win state. So this button over here basically triggers a win state for you after you've won. And what it does is it just, runs redstone signal through, triggers all of these monostables, triggering all of the T flip-flops, and resetting the game. It's pretty simple. Ooh, yes. Yes, I almost forgot about the orange circuit. So let's just say that you win. Okay, let's say that you've won all of your 3 modules, or all of however many modules you've added. What that does is it means that all of the red wool blocks are in this position. So this repeater's on, and so is this redstone dust. Now this redstone dust feeds into this torch, which turns it off. And that goes for all 3 or all however many modules you want. But basically, this is a 3-input AND gate. And what's an AND gate? It's really just, I'll show you now again. It's just one of the basic pieces of Minecraft redstone logic. And actually, I think regular logic too. But don't quote me on that because I'm not a computer scientist. And there you go. See, this is an AND gate. So let's say that I turn off one of these torches. One of the inputs is on. This redstone torch is off, but this redstone torch is still off. I have an input here. Same thing. But if I have this input and this input, see, AND gate, this redstone torch turns on. And I just did the same thing with 3 different inputs instead of 2. So yeah, that's really about it. So once all these 3 torches turn off, this redstone turns off entirely, which means that this torch turns on, hits all the dispensers, and you get your diamond blocks. Yeah, that really is about it for this whole showcase of this, semi-vintage redstone thing. I could go a bit more into detail, but I really don't think that's all that interesting for you guys. And yeah, this was really just me expressing some nostalgia from the late 2011 to early 2012 days. But if you guys did enjoy, please do let's shoot for 15 likes, and I'll release a tutorial on how to make this thing, just as a bit of a treat and a bit of a thanks for watching this. But yeah, if you guys otherwise enjoyed, then just like, subscribe, comment, overall feed the algorithm, and I'll see you next time.